Welcome to the Mindset with Morgan podcast. I am so grateful you're here. I'm Morgan, and I am a multiple seven-figure entrepreneur who adores all things business. I love building great teams and great companies who benefit the world. I've been building and running startups for nearly 15 years and have learned a few things along the way. I'm a teacher by heart, and I'm so excited to share with you. I'm also human, and I need a good pick-me-up and mindset shift before meetings, tough conversations, and sometimes just on my morning commute. My hope is that you can use this podcast as a quick mindset reset before you start your day or whenever you need a mindset shift. I also love a good funny story with a helpful lesson involved, and that is what you'll get here. Now let's learn, grow, and have a few laughs. Hello and welcome. So today I want to talk about how to begin the thing that you've been wanting to begin. You guys, I'm sure you can relate where there's been something you've always wanted to do, or there's been something you've dreamed of accomplishing and you just really don't know how to get started or how to get to where other people are going. It can be sort of frustrating, challenging. It can feel overwhelming when we look at people who are 1,000 steps ahead of us, and it can seem so daunting on how to get there. And honestly, I'll give you this podcast as an example. For years, I wanted to start a podcast. I had so many ideas for episodes and so many ideas for interviews that I want to do and have done and will do and can't wait to record and share with you guys. But when I looked at people I respected and admired who had really successful podcasts, my mind started to really play tricks on me. And I thought to myself, well, how on earth does someone get from not having a podcast to having a podcast with 100,000 likes and follows? I couldn't wrap my brain around it. Well, how am I going to even do that? Well, you guys, I'm going to give you the secret that maybe no one talks about when you think about starting your thing, or a big project, or a big idea, or a business, or whatever it may be that you are wanting to get started, but you just don't know where to start. The secret is, no one really knows where to start. You just have to start. And when I say start, and you're like, well, I don't even know where to start, Google it. The crazy thing is, we have everything at our fingertips. And sometimes that even alone can be so overwhelming. So I'll tell you how I got started on my podcast, because for me, I like to give finite details because that helps me learn when I can relate to somebody else's story. So I hope it helps you learn as well. Because like I said, I had so many ideas for so long, and truly the thing that held me back more than anything was I couldn't figure out how logistically to begin a podcast. How do I edit an episode? I have no idea, you guys. I didn't even know where to begin. How do I actually record it? Like, do I have to get a microphone? Okay. Well, then I bought a microphone and I plugged it into my computer. It was a USB little thing. I plugged it into my computer and recorded some 10-second clips. I couldn't find the clips. I couldn't figure out where they ended up on my computer. I didn't even think it was recording, actually. And I'm like, well, this doesn't work, right? So now I'm thinking I need this studio and pay $500, $1,000 per episode to get it published. And I was like, well, that's a lot of investment for something I want to really begin, organically. It's more of a passion project for me. And I just really, want to do this because I truly feel a calling to do it. And I want to help other people through things that they tell me all the time they're struggling with. And I want a library of resources for people to say, okay, I want to learn about this topic, and they can go to my podcast and they can learn. That's what I always have wanted. I want to learn how to do this, right? So that's what these episodes are. I really want them to be tactical and inspirational and motivational, obviously. And I want you to walk away with motivation at the same time, but also learn how to do something, how to have the conversation. So this microphone, okay, that didn't work. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm doomed. I'm technologically challenged, or I'm not technologically challenged. I have a problem with people who say, I'm this, I'm that, because then you become that. But I will say, I truly don't enjoy the technical aspect of really anything. computers. That's not a world that I want to enjoy or want to get into. So it kind of stalled me, probably for like 2 years. So then I'm like, okay, maybe I'll record them on Zoom because I've been a guest on many podcasts. And a lot of times when I'm a guest, they send me a Zoom link and then it's recorded that way and great. So I recorded some on Zoom and the quality was just really not great. But I had some episodes recorded. So I'm like, okay, I've got these recorded. Now what? Well, then I had no idea. Like, where do I put it? How do I get it on wherever it goes? How do people find it? Well, then I have to get like a website and then I have to have little images that go on it. And honestly, you guys, there were so many pieces that it just overwhelmed me because then I thought, well, what's the point of having a podcast and having all these recordings if I have a really bad way of storing them? I'm not just going to share my Google Drive with everybody and say, here you go. Like, it needs to look professional. Now I need to get photos done. Okay. Because there's got to be photos of me on it, right? So people know who's talking. So all these little details, they just overwhelmed me. So I'll tell you what I did. I did one thing at a time. One day I scheduled to get my photos done. No, I'm even going to step back. I didn't even know where to get my photos done because I knew how I wanted them to look. Well, where do all these people get these really cool photos? I don't know. Okay, so I'm going all the way back because I know that you're probably in a really similar position. And then I remembered this amazing book that always seems to have the answers beyond the Bible, which truly does have all the answers. There's a book called Who, Not How. And my husband and I both read this book and we talk about it all the time. A good friend of mine, I think I've mentioned this in other episodes, calls it Whoville. And in Who, Not How, it talks about whenever you're stuck and you keep asking how, or you keep getting stuck because of the how, you need to start asking who. Who knows how to do this? Who? And you guys, I always, in the beginning, thought of this concept as, well, a who means I literally have to hire and pay someone thousands of dollars to do this, and I may not have that in the budget, so this doesn't really make sense. That's not the case, you guys. Very rarely do you have to do that. There is typically someone in your network who knows a who knows a who knows a who to get you where you need to go. And you may even be able to barter your services depending on what thing you're looking for. So I went to a good friend of mine who has photos done often, and I said, who do you recommend for these type of photos? I knew what I wanted it to look like. Okay, I'm going to take another step back. How did I know what I wanted it to look like? Because that might be a place you're stuck too. How I knew what I wanted it to look like is I looked at other podcasts. I did a lot of research and just looked up podcasts. What kind of images did I like? What did I like about the way other people's Instagram pages looked? And I saved those and created a little gallery that I could show my future photographer. So my friend gave me who she suggested. So I reached out and I booked an appointment. And you guys, that's how things get started. You do one tiny step at a time. Because when you do one tiny step at a time, at the end of the day, you end up with the end result. It's like baking a cake, right? It might get overwhelming to think of all these ingredients, but if you take an egg and some sugar and some flour and some vanilla, eventually you're going to end up with a cake. So a podcast really, is just the same thing. Any project, one thing at a time. And that's where people get stuck. You have to just start one thing at a time. The logistical aspect, there's so many things out there, so many places you can find who know how to find people, who know how to do what you don't know how to do. For me, that became getting somebody who was well-versed in this area. Now, there's places like Fiverr where you can hire people on a project basis, right? You might be able to find a friend who knows how to do this one particular thing, or you can watch videos and figure out how to do it yourself, right? If you have the time and the energy to do that. So for me, I found someone who knew how to do this. And to this day, I don't know how to get a podcast into Spotify. I have no idea. I'm sure I could figure it out. I don't know how to edit one. I'm sure I could figure it out. But I had to ask myself, who? Who knows how to do this? Who knows how to do this more than me and will save me so much time. And you guys, for me, that's worth it because I still wouldn't have a podcast if it wasn't for her. And I still, over the years, I wouldn't have even started it, right? So you have to ask yourself who, not the how. So if you are dreaming of starting something, just think of one little piece of it and just send an email, make a phone call. Just do that one thing today. By the end of the day, call someone and say, hey, I'm thinking of doing this. Do you know someone who knows how to do blank? Whatever piece of that is. If you are asking yourself how, stop asking about the how, because you are not a computer. You don't know everything. You can't just figure it out overnight, right? So if you're struggling with the how and you're not willing to Google and figure it out, well, then you need to go to the who. Otherwise, it's never going to happen. And if you think anybody else is special and magical and doing things that you can't, well, that's just wrong. The people who are doing things are the people who figured out how to do it. But I'm sorry, none of us woke up one day and knew how to do a podcast or how to do whatever project or business or whatever you're looking to do, right? You've got to reach out to experts and people who know what they're doing. If you want to accomplish anything, you've got to be willing to put yourself out there. You've got to be willing to maybe interview 12 different companies until you get where you want to go. I've definitely interviewed or looked at help in certain areas and thought to myself, oh my goodness, they are just not understanding what I'm trying to accomplish. Just because someone doesn't understand or it's not really making sense to someone what you're trying to ask them for help for, that doesn't mean it's stupid. It just means they may not be the right person, and that's okay. It's very easy to get discouraged when you're trying something new, but I promise you, if you keep trying, it will click with somebody. I will click with somebody. This happens often when I am trying to create a new position, maybe in a company that I've never created before, and maybe it's not a really normal position. I might flop on my face 4 times and have people not succeed in the role, but eventually I will find the perfect person and have. But you've got to be willing to try because no one gets it right on the first time. And if you do, it was just cool, great, wonderful, but it's a gift. Move on. It's not the way it's going to be normally. So my advice to you, if you are stuck and don't know where to begin, you need to ask someone. And you know what? You can ask me. You can message me on Instagram if you are stuck on something and you need a resource or a suggestion of where to go. Ask me. If I don't know, I probably know someone who does know, right? Because in this world, we need each other to accomplish anything. None of us do this alone. None of us. So I hope you are inspired to take one tiny step today in the direction you're looking to go, and then make a promise to yourself to keep taking that tiny step consistently. It doesn't matter how often, it just needs to be consistent. If you have a planner or a Asana or some sort of help checklist thing that helps you get what you want to get done, put it in your daily, your weekly, every Tuesday and Thursday, whatever it may be, to take one little step forward in where you want to go. And that is the only way anything big is ever going to get done. I hope you're inspired, and I hope you have a great day.